So today we are going to talk about a book where the narrator or the main character is on so many drugs that she does stuff while she's asleep and doesn't know she did it, such as setting hair appointments and ordering takeout and going down to the local bodega and purchasing stuff and just discovering stuff when she wakes up that's just magically there that she doesn't remember. And that book is My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh. I apologize if I'm saying that name wrong. I'm not quite sure how to say it. So, this book is about this privileged woman who, she has a bunch of money. She lives in New York City and she's pretty well off. Nothing really wrong in her life, but she seems very depressed and she just wants to sleep. She wants to sleep and just escape. And she finds this doctor, Dr. Tuttle, who she seems like she's kind of out of her mind crazy and willing to prescribe whatever the F and just throw a ton of drugs at her constantly. And in all honesty, in this book, the character is lucky she didn't die from all the stuff she was taking, because what it made me think of too was thinking about how Michael Jackson died because he was on so many different medications because some doctor just kept prescribing him enough to just kill a horse or whatever. Anyways, sidetracked. A year of rest and relaxation. So the main character, she just wants to sleep for a year. She wants to rest and relax and just kind of reset and not think or feel or anything. So she goes to this doctor, and this doctor prescribes her a few things and then starts to prescribe her more stuff and more, and basically give her all this different cocktail of chemicals to knock her out and make her sleep. She starts taking a bunch of different stuff, and she'll sleep, and she starts taking Ambien, and Ambien's kind of known for uh you do stuff where you're basically kind of sleepwalking. You're not awake. You'll go out and walk around and then, have no recollection of this happening because the main character starts finding stuff in her apartment that she apparently went out and got, and is kind of all right, well, whatever. And none of this really seems to bother her. And then she just wants more and more heavier drugs to sedate her and make her sleep. And so that's what she does throughout this book. And she'll wake up in a haze half the time. And it was a really fascinating look at a very weird subject matter. And it's very scary that a doctor actually prescribed all this stuff to her. I can't even tell you how many different drugs she was on. There were so many. And I mean, was it really a year of rest? I don't know, maybe of rest, not really relaxation. And she'd still be doing stuff while she was asleep. So was it really? It was just really weird. It was wonderfully written. I flew through it in a few days. This is the first book by this author I've read. I like weird and interesting, kind of off the wall subject matter, so this book was right up my alley. I found it quite fascinating. And then she had this friend, Riva, and Riva would pop over here and there, and they'd known each other since college. And I think they kind of just hated each other, but yet they still loved each other at the same time. It was a weird dynamic between them. And she'd come over and kind of would kind of worry about her, but at the same time she'd be like, "Oh my God, you're losing all this weight. You're so lucky." Because she's on all these drugs. So she was losing weight and not eating because she was sleeping all the time. Yeah, the writing was really great. I found it hard to put down. What was really accomplished in this? I mean, she took a year of basically doing drugs to sleep and came out on the other side and was able to go back to, I guess, some sort of normalcy at the end of this. There's a few things that happen that are a bit emotional and kind of sad. And so you have a lot of different moving parts to this book, which I enjoyed quite a bit. I don't think the main character is ever named. Maybe she was. I don't remember her name. I remember every other character's name because there wasn't that many. Her supposed best friend Riva, then Dr. Tuttle, and then her sometimes boyfriend Trevor, who was 9 million years older than her. I think they started dating when she was 17 and he was 33. Ew. Anyways, so they were on again, off again, and eventually Trevor ends up marrying someone else, and she kind of flips out at him at one point in the book, and but she doesn't remember quite all the stuff that's happening because these people come over and then she's just popping pills. Time to pop the pills and fall asleep and do whatever and drool on herself. I don't know. It's just so weird. I don't have a good way to describe it. How do you describe a book about nothing? I mean, it's about something and there's stuff happening in it and you're like, dang, this girl's effed up. Ah, she must have been on 20 different drugs. And then there was this one where she would just like lose 3 days at a time. I can't remember what that drug was called. It was like something experimental that wasn't even quite out of the market yet. And she would take it, and then like 3 days would go by, and then she'd find like Polaroids from like a nightclub that she went to. Apparently, had gone out and like did all this stuff, went clubbing and just crazy stuff while she was supposed to be sleeping. And so she gets to this point. So she used to work at like an art gallery and whatnot, and kind of hated it. And so one of the clients that had had like different art shown at this gallery, she runs into him while she was in this blackout, right? On one of the nights that she went out with that had all the Polaroids. Doesn't even really like this guy. And ends up, though, in the end, turning to him to kind of like do a weird art project on her where he observes her while she's doing her sleep because she's like, I can't keep leaving the apartment when I take this drug. I need someone to like lock me in. So towards the end, like he makes sure that she can't leave the apartment, but he comes in and he'll drop off food and do this, and then he'll like take pictures and video of her while she's sleeping and stuff for like it's going to be a big art installation and whatnot. And so that happens. And that's more towards the end of the book. And it's just, I don't know. It's not a book where you're like, God, that was amazing. Because it's just, it's thought provoking. It's disturbing. It's like, what the F? And it's always interesting to see like what causes a person to just want to go inside themselves and sleep all the time. And, you know, depression, stuff in life, like environment that they live in, family, breakups, whatever. Like what causes people to go into emotional turmoil and just want to like escape all that like feeling, not having to feel or think or whatever. So I thought it was a fascinating read. Would I recommend it? Not to everyone, no, because I feel like this was like a book that you will either really like or really hate, is what I get the vibe of it. So I don't know. If it sounds interesting to you, then yeah, pick it up and read it. It's really weirdly fascinating, and I enjoyed it. But like I said, it's a strange subject matter that I don't feel is for everyone. So, you know. So, if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.